So after facing the death of my 18-year marriage, the death of my beloved mom, and having nearly 20 years of infertility culminating in my husband having a child with another woman, my life as I knew it was completely incinerated. It had just become so desolate. And I remember at that point just saying out loud, God, I am so mad at you. And I remember just feeling like it was such a personal thing, this pain. The pain was so great. So in that season, God's word became my lifeline. It was literally the only offensive weapon I had against an enemy who was seeking to destroy me, and I felt that so tangibly. It seemed as though before that time I had an understanding of God's grace, but as I began to depend on His word and utilize His word as that offensive weapon, I started to understand like this graduate level grace, this graduate level goodness, this graduate level power that God gave me to fight this enemy who was seeking to destroy me. So I met Carl. I married him, moved to Sioux City. I was called to Sunnybrook. And honestly, it was so bizarre because I truly had felt after going through the valley of the shadow of death season in my life that the best years of my life were behind me. You know, God had taken me, a divorced, barren woman, a woman who had a lot of brokenness in her life, a woman who at times had lost her identity. And He brought me into this beautiful place, being married to a man who showed me a kind of kindness that I'd really never known. He gave me 3 beautiful stepkids. I have my nieces still in my life, and now their children in my life. I have beautiful grandchildren, and there was also just this realization of having all of these spiritual children through the ministry that we've had together here at Sunnybrook over all these years, that God truly had brought me to a fruitful place in my life. One thing that I have learned in my many seasons of my life where God just doesn't make sense is that those are simply seasons where my finiteness collides with God's infinite nature. He's all knowing, He is all understanding, I know nothing. And so rather than ask why, because in those seasons when all I could do was say, why, God, why? There was never any good answer for that. But the neatest part of that is when I could trust Him and when I could just say, Lord, what is it that you're doing here? How can I walk in faithfulness to you? That's when I began to see He makes sense. I may not be able to see it because I'm not all-knowing. I'm not all-understanding. So it all makes sense now that no matter what we go through, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much it doesn't seem to make sense, one of the things I've discovered through His word, especially in Isaiah 61, Jesus came to bind up the brokenhearted. And He can't bind up the brokenhearted unless we're broken. It really is all about His redemption.